No matter how long it takes, I will. No matter how long it takes, I will. That is where we're going to start things today. I think it's important to note that a lot of things and many of the most valuable things that we may want to accomplish or move towards will take some time. Maybe more time than you're prepared to spend, right? But think about something that would be worth it. What is something that you right now you already know that you have committed to and that you're going to do no matter how long it takes? No matter how long it takes, I will. And I guess another thing is to think about, are you comfortable with the fact that it's going to probably take longer? There's this thing called the planning fallacy. It happens in projects all the time when people estimate. We're poor estimators of how things are going to go, how long it's going to take, how hard it's going to be, how much it's going to cost. Typically, we are a little bit overly, when we're in the middle of dreaming or envisioning a possibility and we're picturing ourselves at the end destination, we're caught up in that sort of euphoric state of, yeah, that's going to be so cool. And we underestimate what the journey is going to be like. So when it gets a little rough and it's harder than you thought it was going to be and it takes more time, do you have something that holds you in place? No matter how long it takes. So manager says, no matter how long it takes, I will carve out a spot in this world just for me, a place where I can mind my own business and live my life in peace. Living your life in peace. That's a worthy thing to pursue. And it might take some time, but I'm good with that. Double Ancient says, no matter how long it takes, I will get ROA's core rulebooks done. They've been a long time coming. Alexis and I have been generating buzz, and now it's got to get done. Sometimes when you get out there and you start making public statements, like, all right, I hear you, I see you. Once you start promoting it, then it's time to deliver. Johnny says, no matter how long it takes, I'm going to learn to keep my mind in silence. No matter how hard the storm is outside. So on that journey, Johnny's on that journey for inner stillness despite the storms that might arise on the outside. That inner silence is a great thing to cultivate. Someone anonymously shares, no matter how long it takes, I will remember you. No matter how long it takes, I will remember you. I don't know why I think that's Forgotten. Why do I think Forgotten said that? I don't know. It's just a, So SO is on duty. It's good to see you this morning, SO. SO comes in and just gets right to work. I guess it wasn't forgotten. No matter how long it takes, I will find a way to get to you. I will find a way to get to you. There's kind of a tone in there that could be a little bit, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to read it with the wrong energy, but there are ways to read that could be a little bit problematic. No matter how long it takes, I will find a way to get to you. But I don't want to read menace and villainy into your response. It could just be simple persistence and willingness to overcome the obstacles that show up. Listen, I'll try to be as generous as I can. M is here. Thank you so much for the likes, M. I really appreciate you. Forgotten says, but she far away, but she far and we love each other. So whatever it takes, however long it takes. I hear you. I hear you. So Izzy says, no matter how long it takes, I will get to where I deserve to be, no matter how long it takes. I guess there's a thing called sort of raising your level of deserving, right? I think a lot of times we might be holding on to we might be carrying some stuff that makes us feel less than worthy sometimes. And as we kind of sit in that space of not feeling worthy of stuff, we don't feel like we deserve stuff, then what happens is we end up self-sabotaging. We can self-sabotage whenever something comes up that we don't feel like we are worthy of, we'll find a way to not get it. We'll find a way to undermine ourselves. So there is a way in which you already are where you think you deserve to be, right? Because if you didn't deserve to be there, then if you didn't think you deserved to be there, then you might not be there now. So it's about raising that level of deserving, raising that inner standard of what's okay for you. And you do that by just making the progress, making everyday little progress towards things that matter is what it takes to get you to a higher level of deserving and to break the cycle of self-sabotage. You kind of create that body of evidence to the contrary of the way you've seen yourself so far, and then that becomes who you are. And then everything changes from there. So I appreciate your commitment, right, to raising that level of deserving. So we got Mo in the house. Samantha is here. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. I really appreciate you. No matter how long it takes, that's the first prompt. That's what we're thinking about, what we are committed to. No matter how long it takes, I will get you, my pretty. And your little dog, too. Nah. Really, though, hold on. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I will get you, my pretty. And your little dog, too. I will see my best friend. That is what you are persevering for. The opportunity will come up soon again, and I will see my best friend no matter how long it takes. M says, no matter how long it takes, I will buy a home of my own. I will buy a home of my own, no matter how long it takes. I'm about that. Manager says, it's funny. 3 years ago, the answer would have been be happy. Now that seems like a given. That's an awesome place to be, where you're happy. A lot of times we get that thing backwards, where we feel like when we get the thing that we're looking for, that we'll be happy. But a lot of times it's the opposite. Happiness is something that comes from the inside out. You won't be happy when you get the thing. A lot of times you will get the thing once you're happy. And understanding how our inner state and our outer circumstances are not correlated in any meaningful way. That's an illusion. How we feel, and our level of course, you can be going through struggles that you would prefer not to be going through. That's a very real thing. But also, you can feel anything under any circumstances. You can experience joy and even laughter under any circumstances. Those things, those feelings on the inside of you can emerge independent of what's going on around you, just because there's always a lot of stuff going on around you. But just that feeling of gratitude and that positive emotion that you can generate when you are aware of the opportunity that the new day brings you, however unfavorable things are, that's the same energy that gets you closer to what it is that you want. So, yeah. Mo says, no matter how long it takes, I will persevere. So this is just a general state of being. Mo says, my whole thing is no matter how long it takes. That's just my whole thing. Someone anonymously shares, no matter how long it takes, I will do better because tomorrow is another day. I'm going to do better. Yeah. It was like I couldn't just pick one thing. I just have to adopt that mindset. If I'm committed to something, then I'm going to see it through. So, Miss, thank you so much for the spoons. I really appreciate the support. Welcome in, Vivian. I hope that you're having a good morning thus far. We're starting the conversation with perseverance. We're getting ready to go to the next prompt. So let's go ahead and check that out. But before we do, we're going to check in with Esso. I will continue to experience life to the fullest for what it is and expect nothing more. Expect nothing more than it is. It is what it is. And I'm okay with that. I am at peace with what is. So one of the things that helps us get through, sometimes when we're going to persevere, we're going to keep going no matter what, we need a little bit of support. So let's ask a question about that. Let's take the conversation there for a second. I'm going to reset the request box. The question is, where do you need more structure? And I put in the bottom, and as a little aside, that Structure equals support. I know we got a lot of creative folks in here, and sometimes we are resistant to structure. We feel like it can harsh our vibe a little bit, take us out of the flow if we're too, But if you think about what structure actually is, it's just support. You can lean against it, It holds stuff up for you. So while you definitely need space to express and create and vibe, or whatever the way you want to describe what it looks like when you're doing the thing that you do best, you're also going to need some support. You might need some practices in place that'll keep you from going off the rails. Maybe you need a frame within which to contain your art, something to hold it, to show it and display it so that people understand what it is, to create some boundaries around it, to differentiate it from the surroundings. So where might you need a little bit of support? You might need a load-bearing wall somewhere so that you can have a level of safety to work in. You might need some scaffolding, right? Forgotten is like my rides to work killing me, man. My rides to work. I need some structure. I need another strategy. So I guess when it's something like that, that sort of logistical thing, what would that look like? Would it look like having more than one person? So M says, I need more structure in my love life. Well, relationships, I guess, if you are in a relationship, sometimes you might need to have certain conversations and come to understandings with the person that you're connecting with. And I guess that could stand as structure. The understanding that you have with another person is definitely something that can support a relationship. Or if you're out there looking, then maybe you need a clear picture of what it is that you're looking for. And, being committed to the process of making connections and standing true to what it is that you're seeking. You stay open to the element of surprise. There's sometimes you can find something better than you expected because you didn't understand what was even available. But having that picture is sort of like a structure that you can use in your love life. Maybe you need to accumulate a particular set of skills. I don't know. So Spooky is here. Welcome and thank you. We're talking about places where we might need a little more structure. So Kiana says, in getting my life together, in general, I just need some structure in getting my life together. One of the things that we can start with, if you're talking about getting your life together, I guess it's just trying to get a handle on your time, understanding where it's going, how you are using it, because it's all going to be a matter of where you are deploying your time and your attention and your energy, all of those resources. That's where that comes from. So that might be the first thing. And then from there, you can start taking the little steps to whatever together means. Getting your life together is an ongoing project. So Manager says, I found my wife when I was going live on this app. You never know where love will come from. M, So structure for Noble Ancient. Illustration and graphic design. My illustrators have glitches. So I guess me or Alexis needs to go that route. That's the structure I need right now. It's been too long. Well, I mean, I guess the thing is, you need to find the right people, you know? So for Johnny, you need more structure for yourself to discover and find. I need to tame my mind. I need structure for myself to discover and find. I need to tame my mind. So putting things in place. So Said to Don says, in my business, trying to be a self-employed man soon. I hear you. Sometimes when you work for yourself, you have a horrible boss, right? The worst boss ever sometimes is you, you know? It's hard to manage yourself sometimes, and getting some disciplines in place from the start that can keep you sustainable, you know. Miss, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the spoon. Appreciate that. All right. So someone anonymously shares, I need more structure or support for your addiction. I'm assuming kind of working through it, maybe trying to overcome it. So Spooky says, I need more structure and support and receiving help again, whether it be through a friend or a medical professional. I need structure. It's hard to ask for help sometimes, right? It's hard to ask for help. And so how can you be more intentional about seeking the assistance that you need? How can you be more intentional about that? Getting in the habit of not trying to stick it out. And a lot of times that comes from, especially when you're talking about the relationships, it comes from the way that you kind of build and connect in your relationships. That determines a lot of whether or not you feel like there is enough there for you to reach out. Manager brings the insight that remind yourself that asking for help, getting help is not admitting that you failed, it's preventing you from failing. You need people on your team, on your side, in your corner, that are all invested in seeing you succeed. Yeah, receiving is a skill. Spooky says, I suck at receiving help. Receiving is a skill. Receiving things gracefully and graciously, even if it's a compliment, being willing to hold that and not dismiss it. That kind of comes back to our level of deserving again that we were talking about before. When you raise your level of deserving, it makes you more capable and willing to receive. And sometimes what stands in our way is a little ego. Maybe it's a little bit of pride. It might be in there too. But mostly it's a level of deserving. Feeling worthy of receiving the help. So normally we hear this, we take a couple deep breaths in the session. So let's take a second and do that. Just take a second to think that you are always willing to give, and there are others who are just like you, who are also looking forward to giving, and you are denying them the opportunity to be of assistance when that's all they want to do. So, yeah. So we're talking about the places where we could use a little structure. So Esso says, I need more structure in my initiating and remaining consistently productive with my unique work process. So yeah, refining. Finding which parts need to be fixed and in place and which parts need to be free flowing, understanding more how your mind works, how your process works, and remaining committed to it. I can feel that. So manager says, it's leisure time. I got to find a way to get the rest I need while also spending time with the ones that I love. So maybe it's about making that space, right? Making that space. Maybe it's time in general where you need to structure just to ensure that there is that time. Someone anonymously shares that I need to structure my eating and exercise routine. My current lifestyle is extremely unhealthy. Yeah. You know, that's one of those keystone habits, right? When you start working on your physical wellness, a lot of times that spills over into other areas of your life. So I guess just encourage you to watch the magic that structure the freedom that structure actually gives you, the space that it creates. And maybe don't resist it. All right, Izzy's got to head out. Thank you so much for being here, Izzy. J-Man's got to head to bed too. It's a pretty good spot. We're about halfway through. So let me say too, as we get ready to transition to the next prompt, that I've started selecting some of these prompts to use in the talk section on Spoon. So that you can speak a little bit in response to prompts. Maybe if you miss a session and you don't have an opportunity to reply in the request box, you can leave your reply in the voice, in voice form on the talk. And then we're going to be taking some of those responses and including them in podcasts here. So, that's another way to engage. I encourage you to do that. I understand the hour here isn't necessarily conducive for you to always be present. but we want to try to create as many places for you to be a part of the conversation as possible. And that's just another way to do it. I also encourage you to, if you have not already done so, join our Discord, where you can see the prompts and also responses from the sessions in the Morning Journal channel on Discord. So let's go ahead and get into the next prompt. We're going to start looking at some of the ways that we are unique. Some of the ways that you are unique was something you do that other people find quote unquote weird. Gas Mask Pete is here. What's up, Gas Mask Pete? Good to see you. We're going to reset the request box. Something that you do that other people find quote unquote weird. It was like all of it. Everything I do is weird. Well, I guess I can qualify as what is something that people comment most frequently. So as we're thinking about this one, what I try to do, with Morning Journal, is to make sure that this is a place for folks of, from all different backgrounds, all ages. If you're old enough to be on Spoon, then this is an experience that I hope to make, safe and useful for you. So with that in mind, you find people in here, you connect with people, make sure that you understand and you know who you're talking to, right? Make sure that if you're making a connection with someone, it's someone with whom it is the right thing to be doing. Ask the pertinent questions, right? So I just want to make sure that we have that out there. We don't want any misunderstanding. This is a space that's includes high school students, junior high students, and full-grown adults like me, and we can all interact with these prompts in a productive way. But yeah, let's just make sure that we check in, before you pursue a connection that with someone who is not necessarily the right thing for you to be doing, and you don't mean anything by it. You just didn't know, but just be cool. All right. One thing that you do that other people find weird. Forgotten says, some people find it weird the way I speak. Not how I speak, but what I say. People find it weird. I got a unique way of speaking. That can be interesting. That could be a cool thing. It could be a part of what makes you stand out in the crowd. There are a lot of people here who have some interesting communication patterns. It doesn't necessarily come out so much in your writing. I guess sometimes, we converse differently than we converse differently than we write. I know one of the interesting things about You Forgotten was the degree to which you continuously kind of switched up your name so that, you would come in as a different person every time. So one thing that Kiana says is the thing that make people think I'm a little weird that I do is I take my anxiety stuffies to school, and how I act, people think it's weird, but I'm autistic and I'm proud. People think it's weird, but hey, I cope with what I cope with the way I do, and I'm proud of it. No shame. Someone anonymously says, I see a pile of trash and can see the things it can be rather than what it is. I see a sheet of metal and make it a rose, shining in the light. And I think people think it's a little weird that I make art out of garbage. I don't know if it's a literal pile of trash, but just being able to find beauty anywhere. I can find beauty anywhere. Forgotten is like, I have full-blown conversations with myself, and Esso's like, well, that's not normal. Esso would go live and have full-blown conversations live, fully AFK, just talking. So here we go. So Esso says, how I express myself. I honestly don't know what it is exactly, but I've accepted the label of quirky. It's like, oh, I'm quirky. Not Esso being quirky. So Boots is here. Welcome in. It's good to see you. Quasha is here. So Miss says, I put sugar in my grits. I passionately love strangers. I miss people I've never met. I try to get things right. Even though my heart breaks over and over, I keep going. Lots of my opinions like polyam. These are all things that people think are weird. We're gonna have to do the sugar grit thing as a poll, I guess. Sed's asking the question, why do people put sugar in grits? I know, right? These are the real questions. Sed says, the thing that people find weird about me is the way I sit quietly in a crowd and be observant and read people and tell someone how they are. Okay, so you just be sitting back, huh? You just be sitting back watching. So are you like sitting beside someone and y'all sitting in the room watching people and you be like, look. You see that guy over there? Or do you, yeah. Watch what he gonna do. All right. Noble Ancient says, one thing I do, the others think is weird is noble speak, where I understand what I say, but others might not. Yeah. So there is a difference. There are a lot of reasons to use words, right? There are a lot of reasons to use words. Sometimes you're using words to express yourself. And sometimes you're using words to communicate. And it seems like that's the same thing in a way, but it's not. Expression doesn't need to be understood. Communication does. So depending what your intention is, you might have to calibrate, and you might have to have a little back and forth to make sure if your message is important enough, then, if your message is important enough, you want to make sure that it's received the right way. It doesn't always need to be, but if it's important enough and you definitely want the person to get it, then you have to be open to, fielding some questions, right? Oh man. So manager's gas is $4.30. I think ours is like, last I looked, I don't even pay that much of attention because, I don't really be driving. But I think it was like $4.49, something like that. All right. Someone anonymously says that other people think it's weird that I give too many chances to others. I have lots of love and I don't like to give up. It's like, yo, you need to cut them off, yo. Nah, I'll give them another shot. So Esso's in California with that $5 gas. Oh man. Esso's basically like, I just got to stay in the house. Tim says that other people tend to think it's weird that I share my spouse. People think it's weird that I share my spouse. So while we are getting ready to go to the next one, if you have the wherewithal, go ahead and drop some green hearts in the chat real quick. Said it's like interesting. I don't know. You're talking about how interesting, what, the gas prices? Mrs. like Tim telling our business. Seems like interesting. You don't say. So Quasha says, the thing that I like to do, the thing that I do to other people think is weird is I'll just be by myself. I'll be minding my business, yo. I'll just be by myself. So Alexa says, I'm naturally socially awkward, so me being myself is weird to most people. So basically it's like people just find me as an entity weird when I'm being myself. So Tim is elaborating. So we be getting sugar guardians over here. Not the mamas, the daddies, the grandmas, the sugar granddaddy. All of them. So something that people think is weird for Boots is that I have spent as much time talking to my phone for seemingly no reason, when in reality I've been talking to a bunch of other people, just talking into the phone on Spoon. So people around you watching you stream Watching someone stream on Spoon from the outside can really look weird. If people are not aware of what's going on, like, man, you're always talking on the phone. But I don't never hear nobody saying it back. It looks like you're on speakerphone because you just got it out. But I don't never hear nobody say nothing back. What gives? What gives? So for Gas Mask Pete, the thing that is weird is that I don't believe in coincidences. And so when something feels extraordinary, I don't hesitate to express that. And yeah, people find that weird. So it's like, oh, wow, what a coincidence. Gas Mask Pete's gonna chime in. Oh, there are no coincidences. Yeah. All right. So I guess we just need to take a second before we go to the next prompt. We just need to take a second to figure this one out. We're just gonna put this one to bed for right now. Open up a poll real quick. All right, let's get this grits thing sorted out. We got a poll up. For the grits. Sweet, savory, or none for me, thanks. Sweet, savory, or none for me, thanks. I guess the question is, Miss has a question. Do you put salt in your oatmeal, guys? Well, the question for Miss is, do you put sugar on your corn? Do you put sugar on your corn? So Rita says, I love grits cheesy and buttery. So that's savory. Unless you got some sweet cheese. All right, we got 7 votes. So corn syrup, do you put it on your corn? All right. So we got 8 votes. We'll just take a couple seconds and then we'll move on. So Candy Corn Apocalypse has showed up. I don't know. That's a sweet corn. I don't know. We're talking about grits right now. All right, we got 9 votes. Let's go ahead and end it. All right. So we have sweet with the win, 4, savory with 3, and 2, none for me, thanks. All right. So I guess you thinking that people find that weird is not weird. People don't find that weird. People agree with you. All right, let's get ready to go on to the next prompt. What's something that you tend to notice that others seem to ignore? What's something that you tend to notice that others seem to ignore? Let's do this. I need to get my all right. What do you tend to notice that others seem to ignore? Certain things come into our awareness, stand out to us in ways that might be surprising to others. I know Said notices everything. He out there reading people 24/7. So Tim says RHWDF. RHWDF is what Tim notices. Boots is like, I notice my surroundings, and other people don't even check in like that. Boots got that spidey sense from being in the streets. I'm out here. I gotta see what's going on around me. Y'all out here sleepwalking. You need some situational awareness. All right. Quasha says, I tend to notice people's energy and true intentions. I tend to notice people's energy and true intentions. All right. Said it's like, you didn't have to put me on blast like that. What Said, I think you put yourself on blast, man. You said it. You said it, Said. It's like said that he'd be reading people. And further, says, I notice every time when someone is not forthcoming with things, I'm keen on body language and pitch of voice that lets me know that the genuineness of what's said. Yeah, you look at them skeptically. Said is skeptical. So I'm just name yourself. You just keep digging in. You need to change your name from Said to Don to Skeptical Said. Or Said Red. Said Red be reading Blue's Clues. Said Red Redemption. So Miss says, I noticed that everyone is in a rush to go where? To do what exactly? Where y'all going? Where y'all going? Tim's like, that's that country girl. Why y'all in such a big old hurry? Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now, you hear? Set a spell. I guess you don't have to worry about where they're going unless it's upside your head or something. Then you can just mind your business. If where I'm going is not upside your head, then you don't have to worry about what I'm doing, where I'm going. Right? So Tim says, one thing I noticed that others seems to miss is beauty. I notice beauty in the ugliest people. All right, Boots has got to fall back. So Forgotten says, I notice the way people walk, hold themselves, facial expressions, then it's colors and shapes, the feelings I get from them. I don't know if this is just me though. I don't know if this is just me though. Well, I would venture to say that it's not just you, but you may experience it to more of a degree than others. Noble Ancient says, I notice the smaller details that others ignore. I'm also a reader of others in the same aspect. People give off their truthful details and they don't realize they do. Tales are what I catch. And I'm wondering what you do with this information. I mean, you know, you out here reading people. How do you use that? How do you use that? Is it just to know? Or do you do something with that? Boots, thank you so much for the spoons. I really appreciate that. So you need to either avoid or encounter them. So you need to get into sales, you know? You need to get in sales. Or start a cult. You can find the true believers, you know? So SO says, I noticed that there's nothing special about coincidences unless you make it so. Things just happen and it is what it is. I feel like shots are fired at Gas Mask Pete. Gas Mask Pete is not even in here anymore. And so it's like, y'all out here building narratives around stuff that don't even matter. You making up that meaning. DeSoto, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Right now we're considering the question, what do you tend to notice that others seem to ignore? Alexa says, I notice that people are so uncomfortable around me that they ghost me to my face and just talk to Noble. They don't realize they do it either. Super frustrating. Oh, they might know that they're doing it. They might know that they're doing it. But they just pretend that they don't realize that they're doing it because they're ashamed of it. But that is a super frustrating thing, right? Forgotten says, well, Noble does dominate the conversation. So maybe don't put it on them. Maybe put it on Noble. I ain't trying to start nothing though. All right. All right. Let's get ready to go to the next question. Where do you find your best ideas? I want to know. Where do you find your best ideas? I guess ideas are sort of the currency of survival and creativity. And it's good to know that when you need one, you can come up with one, or you can go find one. You have your sources. So where do you get your best ideas? Maybe there's a source, or maybe there's a thing that you do. So says I get my best ideas on the toilet. On the toilet. Yeah. Well, I think that's an interesting thing. One of the side effects of us always being, yeah, you're going to be there for however long you're there. There's nothing else to do, I guess, but to let your mind wander. I mean, unless you scrolling, you could be sitting there scrolling, and that's robbing yourself of that time. Like, rather than just giving yourself time to think, if you're taking in, if you're scrolling, you're not even giving your brain an opportunity to wander and come up with those ideas, even in that moment. You know what, Sid? I don't know why you wowing me. You the one to be. I'm just reading your responses. Why am I getting the wow? I don't understand why I'm getting the wow, Sid. Like, I'm just reading what you in here. What you put in here. Forgotten says I get my best ideas in the shower. So that's another vote for personal hygiene, I guess, too, right? Not only are you going to get clean, you might come up with a scheme. Not only are you going to get clean, you might come up with something. And I guess it's always better to come up with something than to come down with something, right? Is it ever good to come down with something? Oh, man. So manager says, my ideas come in my daydreams and in passionate conversations. That's where my best ideas come from, when I'm daydreaming or I'm in a passionate conversation. So there's an issue with showing likes. We got 79 likes right now. 79 likes, which is pretty awesome. Right now we're talking about where we get our best ideas, and for manager it is in my daydreams and in passionate conversations. How frequently do you have passionate conversations? Who do you have to talk to about those things that matter to you? Who do you talk to about the things that really matter to you? Do you have those people in your life where maybe an inspiration will come through a conversation? When was the last time you were in a conversation with someone and you were like, ooh, this thing, where you were excited by an idea that sprang up in the midst of that exchange? Esso says that I get my best ideas when I'm high, on walks, talking it out before falling asleep, and when I'm on a time crunch. Sometimes. Well, I guess if you're on a time crunch, that idea it seems like the best because it's the one that's available. You know? An idea that is available seems like the best one because that's the only one that you have time for. Or maybe you just need that focus, that time pressure to focus you. Walking it out, talking it out. Imagine being able to do both, right? Going on a walk and having a talk while high with a friend or with someone to bounce your ideas off of. That sounds like a recipe right there. Oops, sorry about that, folks. Noble says, I get my best ideas from the most unlikely sources. Someone's name might trigger a killer idea for me, or perhaps a show or a movie might trigger an idea. No one source stands out as a constant. Yeah, when you can find ideas in a lot of different places, it can give you a lot of sort of creative confidence. All right. So Esso's like, yo, that sounds ideal. I need some co-conspirators, somebody I can walk through the woods with and develop sinister plans. So Emo says, I find my best ideas over there. Yeah, right over there. That's where my best ideas, that's where I find them. So for Alexis, it's walking or when I bounce ideas off of Noble. So there's a theme that I noticed that movement is a big part of what sort of inspires a lot of you. And I think the dangerous thing is maybe we don't move as much as we should. Sometimes when we are wrestling with the problem or we're wrestling with the project, we find ourselves seated, locked, staring at a screen, trying to pull something from the screen, trying to conjure up some magic through our fingertips on the keyboard. And we are sitting slouched. All of our energy is bottled up inside of our body. But if we just move that body, get outside, maybe experience nature, maybe have some fresh air, some sunlight, a conversation. It's important to realize that sometimes the space where you make the thing and the space where you have the idea don't necessarily or often are not the same place. If you want something fresh, you need to move and get a different set of stimulation. You need to change your context a little bit and allow your body to inform and to pick up on all those things. And so it's like, I'll be pacing up and down my house. One of the things that I do, just as a little insight into the creative process behind Morning Journal, it's a lot of prompts that we have to come up with all the time. 20, 25 fresh questions a week. Sometimes maybe 17 fresh ones, and then we'll bring some back. But every week coming up with all these questions, most of the time I'm walking, I'm listening to an audiobook, I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm just walking after having read something. And when something strikes me, I pull out my phone, I go into WhatsApp, and I just type out whatever that idea was. And like, I have my sort of my note-taking software is connected to WhatsApp. So all my ideas, they just go from my phone into my note-taking software. And then when I sit down to get ready to prepare for a stream, I just go through the notes that I took while I was walking. And that's sort of where the ideas are born. Rarely do my ideas come just sitting in front of the computer. They are born out in what I try to take a daily walk, a significant walk during the day. And most of the ideas are born in that space. So movement is key. Even if it's, and even if when I'm inside, a lot of times I'll be walking around pacing, and I have sort of a big easel board, notepad, this big square notepad that I use a Sharpie, and I just jot down an idea. So Miss says, I find my best ideas in community. In community. Yeah. Community connection is a great source of ideas for sure. All right, let's get ready to go on to the next prompt. I appreciate you all. Movement connects you to your subconscious. That's why it's also good to think on paper, with paper and pen, for sure. All right, actually there isn't another prompt. It's time for our recap. So let me pull up the recap screen. All right, reset, and then we're gonna set up for some key takeaways from today's session. Anything that you had here, that you experienced in this session, anything that you heard that stood out in your mind that you want to sort of use as a way to lock everything in, your key takeaway, whether it was something I said, something someone put in the chat. This is an opportunity for you to share that as we go over a brief recap of our session. We started with sort of a comment or a question about perseverance. No matter how long it takes, I will. Understanding that most of the things that are valuable will take time and commitment. So restating that commitment is extremely important. Then we talked a little bit about structure, and looking at the idea of structure as a means of support, not necessarily a sort of a thing that's trying to hold you back. It's something that's trying to hold you up, right? Structure isn't trying to hold you back, it's trying to hold you up. So where could you use a little more structure or support to accomplish the things that matter to you? And then the next couple of questions are really about leaning into the things that are unique about you. The things that you do that are a little bit weird, a little quirky, or whatever the people see that way, those are sort of what the special sauce is to the recipe that is you, the thing that makes you stand out and makes you different. That's an extremely valuable thing to lean into if you want to be seen and heard for the sake of your message. Then leaning into those things. And what do you notice? What catches your attention? What seems to capture your attention that other people tend to miss? And I think that that's also a little bit of a clue. If it catches your eye, then there might be something important about that type of thing. There might be some implications in the way that you do your work or in the things that you create if you tend to be drawn to certain things. And then finally, we just ask a simple question: where do you find the best ideas? Ideas are sort of the building blocks of the work that you do, of the building blocks of thriving and flourishing are ideas. Things that we can use as levers to enhance our experience. So where do you find those? So that's been the session, and we got some key takeaways that we're going to hear from the folks in the VIP. But for everyone else, we're going to get ready to end the stream now. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time, just like every day, Monday through Friday. If you want to get the full experience, make sure you join us on Spoon. Take care.